In this video, I would like to talk about the removal or various removal proceedings which started against the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts. In fact, the term which we are using is removal, not impeachment, even though you may be hearing or you may be seeing in some of the newspaper articles and all that the impeachment of the judges. Judges are not impeached. Please remember, only President of India is impeached. All others are removed because there is an executive action involved. After both the houses of the Parliament passes the resolution, the matter goes to the President of India and President of India signs it, then only a judge can be removed. So there is an executive action involved in it. Whereas the word impeachment is used only when there is a pure legislative action, no executive action is involved. So when the President is to be removed, when both the House of the Parliament passes the resolution with the required majority, the day the second House passes it with the required majority, automatically the President stands removed. So that is why we call it as impeachment, because a pure legislative action, that is what is impeachment. Here it is not a pure legislative action, it is an executive action is involved in the end. So anyway, so we are talking about the removal cases so far. Removal cases so far in India. See, there are 3 such cases in India so far. So let us just have a brief idea about what has happened in all the 3 cases. The first case was Justice V. Ramaswamy. That was in 1990. So Justice V. Ramaswamy was a Supreme Court judge at the time. When the removal proceeding started, he was a Supreme Court judge. And the case was related to a scandal. A scandal surfaced in 1990 when he was the Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court. Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court. And the serious, in a turn of event, the Bar Council, Supreme Court Bar Council passed a resolution calling his impeachment or removal because of, the kind of, the allegations of fraud against him. And he was accused of spending, too much of money for, for the, for the improvement and the furnishing of his official residence. Then he used the official car, the Punjaban from Chandigarh. He has taken his car during holidays to Chennai, where his original hometown is there. So he was accused of 14 different allegations, or misappropriation of fund, or wasteful expenditure of money. And that was the allegation. So when this allegation came, even the Bar Council passed the resolution against the judge for his removal. The Lok Sabha took it up in 1991, in March 1991. The then Speaker, Rabi Ray, this was the time of Janata Dal government. Rabi Ray, in front of him, a resolution came signed by more than 100 members of the Parliament. And mainly the opposition parties, opposition members signed the resolution, and the resolution came in front of the Speaker. Speaker immediately appointed a 3-member judicial committee headed by Justice P.B. Sawant. Justice P.B. Sawant, or Sawant, sorry. Justice P.B. Sawant. Under him, a 3-member judicial committee was appointed, and the committee, studied or looked into the case, and Justice Ramaswamy was given the chance to, defend his case in front of the committee, and the committee found that 11 out of 14 charges were true. 11 out of 14 charges were true. So by the time, then what has happened was that by the time this committee concluded, this Lok Sabha got dissolved. VP Singh government was there at that time. That was, he lost the majority. Then Chandrasekhar government came. He also lost majority. Then Lok Sabha elections took place. During that time, our Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated. Then P.V. Narasimha Rao government came to power. So the matter, by the time the P.B. Sawant committee finally gave the recommendation or other conclusion about the allegation, 11 out of 14 charges were found to be true. A new Lok Sabha was constituted, and during that time it is a P.V. Narasimha Rao government, it is a minority government. Congress did not have majority, but P.V. Narasimha Rao, a Congress leader, was the Prime Minister at that time. So the matter came for voting in May 1993. The matter came for voting in May 1993. Justice Ramasamy, he was defended, and the matter came in front of the Lok Sabha, and Justice Ramasamy was given a chance to defend his case in front of the Lok Sabha members. At the time, Ramasamy's the advocate was the Congress politician Kapil Sibal. Okay, Kapil Sibal defended Ramasamy in the Lok Sabha against the charges, and meantime Justice Ramasamy managed to have a political deal. Okay, it is a backroom deal he managed. He canvassed the MPs from Tamil Nadu because he belonged to Tamil Nadu. He canvassed the MPs from Tamil Nadu. 39 MPs were there from Tamil Nadu, and all of them, all 39 MPs were either an AIADMK or a Congress MP, because immediately after the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, there was a sympathy wave for AIADMK and Congress alliance which was there. All 39 seats were won by them. The opposition DMK got 0 at that time. Anyway, so he campaigned, and his campaign idea was that he was trying to convince the MPs, saying that, see, if Ramasamy, Justice Ramasamy is removed through this removal motion, his argument was that he will be the first judge to be removed, and he is from Tamil Nadu, so he will be the first Tamilian, or rather he said that the first case will be a Tamilian, and it is a black mark on Tamil Nadu. It's a Tamil pride. He tried to invoke the Tamil pride, and what the Tamil MPs in the Lok Sabha, especially those who were supporting, all 39 were supporting the government at that time, they canvassed with the Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao, and they requested not to remove him like this, and instead Ramasamy, it seems, internally he agreed, secretly he agreed that if the removal motion is defeated in the Lok Sabha, he will resign. So there was a deal between them. So when the Lok Sabha took up the matter for the removal of Justice Ramasamy, 401 members were present. Out of that, the Congress members abstained from voting. So 196 voted for his removal. 196 voted for his removal, and no vote, 0 against the removal. That means nobody voted against, or voted for Ramasamy rather. For the removal means it's against Ramasamy anyway. So 0 voted against, and 205 MPs who were present in the parliament, they abstained from voting. Abstained. So when as per the majority required, the majority, it should be more than the absolute majority. That means more than 273 should have supported the motion first, plus 2/3 of the members present and voting. So 2/3, all of them supported removal. So the 2/3 problem was not there, but this 196 is less than 273. So that absolute majority criteria has not been fulfilled. So because of that reason, the resolution in Lok Sabha got defeated. So when the Congress members or the ruling party members abstained from voting, the resolution got defeated. Resolution in Lok Sabha got defeated. So Justice Ramasamy escaped his removal because in the Lok Sabha itself the resolution was not passed with the required majority. So naturally there is no question of the resolution moving to the Rajya Sabha. So that is the end of the resolution. The resolution got defeated in the Lok Sabha. So as per the commitment, Ramasamy was supposed to resign, but he did not resign. He changed his stand. The moment the resolution got defeated in the Lok Sabha, Justice Ramasamy, he refused to resign, and he continued and resigned. He retired as a judge of the Supreme Court. The only concession, or the only thing happened was that the Chief Justice at that time, he refused to allocate any more cases to him. So Ramasamy continued as a judge without any work till his retirement. Subsequently, he joined politics, he joined AIADMK, many things he did. But the resolution against him in 1990, or rather the 1990 motion, which was finally taken up in 1993, Justice Ramasamy that was not removed because in the Lok Sabha, the required majority of absolute majority of the members present and vote, I mean, that was not there, absolute majority was not there. So that is how the resolution on Justice Ramasamy was defeated. Otherwise, 11 out of 14 charges against him was found to be true by 3-member judicial committee. So that is Justice Ramasamy case, the first instance where the judge was tried to be removed and he was not removed. Then coming to the second case, that is, that was in 2009. It is again another judge. He was a judge of the Karnataka High Court, Paul Dinagaran. Paul Daniel Dinagaran, P.D. Dinagaran. He was the when he was the Chief Justice of, or he was the judge of the Karnataka High Court. Subsequently, he was elevated to, the Chief Justice of Sikkim. But again, the case was related to corruption. So what happened was that initially, say I think in 2008, I think 2009, the Supreme Court Collegium decided to elevate him as a judge of the Supreme Court to as a elevate as a judge of Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court Collegium decided to elevate him as a judge of the Supreme Court. At that time, when his name surfaced or when his name was recommended by the Collegium, a hue and cry broke out, and a particular NGO called Forum for Judicial Accountability in Chennai, Forum for Judicial Accountability, Forum for Judicial Accountability, a Chennai based NGO, they came up with a series of allegations against him of misappropriation and misconduct and corruption against him in September 2009. In September 2009, this Forum for Judicial Accountability, an NGO, a Chennai based organization, they came up with a series of allegations against this judge in September 2009. And these allegations, the central government immediately inquired. The Tiruvallur collector at that time, 2 reports were submitted corroborating the allegation. Tiruvallur collector, he was asked to inquire because he belonged to that area, and the collector inquired about some land grab issues and he occupying, or he had some land and property and everything. Inquiry was conducted by the collector, and collector found these allegations to be true. And once this, when the allegations were found to be true, the central government returned the recommendation of the Collegium and said that he cannot be elevated to the Supreme Court. Even then the Collegium insisted that no, he should be elevated to the Supreme Court as a Supreme Court judge. At this stage, parliamentarians, a group of parliamentarians, especially the opposition parliamentary members, they collected a signature, 76 members of Rajya Sabha, please note, 76 members from Rajya Sabha signed a request for removal of Justice Dinagaran. And the request or the resolution or the removal motion was introduced or was submitted to the Vice President of India or the Chairman of Rajya Sabha at that time, Mr. Hamid Ansari. So this matter came in front of Hamid Ansari, the Vice President of India at that time, and the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, Hamid Ansari. He immediately appointed. So Hamid Ansari, Rajya Sabha Chairman Hamid Ansari, in January 2010, appointed a 3-member judicial committee headed by the Supreme Court Judge Aftab Alam. the Supreme Court judge at that time, because a 3-member committee has to be constituted by the presiding officer, and the head of the 3-member committee should be a judge, a serving judge of the Supreme Court. So Aftab Alam at that time was a serving judge of the Supreme Court. He was appointed as the head of the 3-member panel. Meantime, when this removal motion started, or when this process started, Supreme Court in a collegium dropped his name for elevation, and instead he was transferred. Justice Dinagaran was transferred as Chief Justice of Sikkim. So he was transferred as Chief Justice of Sikkim. When the removal motion started, a 3-member committee was appointed. It was, one of the member was a senior advocate called P.P. Rao and Aftab Alam, and then another member was P.P. Rao. And in fact, Justice Dinagaran questioned the involvement, or rather the appointment of P.P. Rao also, but that was rejected by the Supreme Court, and the 12 charges were framed against him. 12 charges were framed. When these charges were framed and when the inquiry started, and since he was to be removed, during that time, in July 2011, January, and he tried to scuttle and stop the inquiry against him. He first questioned the presence of P.P. Rao, a very famous and noted advocate, as a 3-member committee. So he questioned that. He said that he has no faith in P.P. Rao, but Supreme Court rejected his complaint. So the inquiry started, the charges were framed. But during the inquiry which was going on by the 3-member committee, in July 2011, Justice P.D. Dinagaran resigned by citing lack of faith and confidence in the 3-member inquiry committee. He said he has a lack of faith and confidence, in the 3-member inquiry committee probing the charges against him. So in July 2011, he resigned. And there is a problem in our law also. There is nothing mentioned about if a judge resigns in between when the inquiry is going on, what step can be taken. It is not mentioned in the law. Even in the Judges Inquiry Act, there is no mention about what will happen if a judge resigns in between. So when the judge resigned, so there was no choice other than since the law is not clear, so there is no specific mention about what to do in case if a judge resigns in between. There is no mention at all. So what the Vice President Hamid Ansari, the Vice President of India at that time, he very quietly, or the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, Hamid Ansari, quietly buried the inquiry committee, citing Dinagaran's resignation. So he buried the inquiry committee, quietly said, he requested the inquiry committee, don't proceed further, because he has already resigned and the law is not very clear. There is no law regarding what to do with this judge right now. So because of his resignation, the inquiry was stopped in midway through by the Rajya Sabha chairman, and no further action was taken. Since he resigned, he was eligible for all pension allowances, everything. He is still enjoying the pension allowances, etc. From the charged expenditure of the Consolidated Fund of India. So no choice, because this is a grey area. I will use the term again, grey area in the Constitution. See, when I say grey area, the meaning is it is not very clear what is to be done, how to proceed, what to do. See, but otherwise, if it is a bureaucrat, if you and me, suppose you as a bureaucrat, tomorrow if you are caught in a corruption case, and if an inquiry is going on against you, during that time you cannot say I am resigning and going. Your resignation letter will not be accepted till your inquiry is over. You cannot resign and go in between. That's the reality. But in this case, among the judges, law is not very clear, so the judge decided to resign in between and he escaped. So the second removal, resolution also, it did not complete. The process did not complete. During the inquiry stage itself, the judge resigned, and that was the end of the inquiry against him, and he resigned and he is eligible for pension allowances, etc., etc. So that was the second case. Now coming to the third case, that is, Justice Soumitra Sen. He was a judge in the Calcutta High Court. Soumitra Sen. Soumitra Sen's case is a very, it's a very interesting case. That is why I would like to talk about that. So he is the first judge against whom a resolution was passed in one house of the parliament in Rajya Sabha. It was passed for misappropriation of funds. So Justice Sen has been, the allegation was that he misappropriated 32 lakh rupees. When he was not a judge, even before he was a judge in the Calcutta High Court, before he was elevated as a judge in the Calcutta High Court, when he was an advocate in the Calcutta High Court, he was appointed as a receiver. See, normally when there is a civil case, when there is a case, when there is a dispute on a property or anything, if the court wants to ascertain the true fact, normally what the court will do, court will appoint, instead of the judge going and seeing the whole thing, judge will appoint one, say one advocate on behalf of the court to look into the case and execute what the court wants to do. So in 1993, much before he was elevated as a judge of the High Court, he was an advocate in the Calcutta High Court, and he was appointed as a receiver by the Calcutta High Court in a dispute between Steel Authority of India, SAIL, versus Shipping Corporation of India Limited, SCO, SCI, Shipping Corporation of India Limited. There was a dispute regarding supply of fire bricks by Shipping Corporation to SAIL, to the Steel Authority of India. See, there was some order. Shipping Corporation of India was supposed to deliver that to Steel Authority of India. When the consignment came, the quality, the Steel Authority of India felt that they did not get the right quality or there was damage, and the Steel Authority of India refused to accept the consignment. This finally led to a dispute between Steel Authority of India and Shipping Corporation, because Shipping Corporation failed to deliver the product, the fire bricks, in proper shape or in good quality. There is a dispute regarding the quality. So this matter came to Calcutta High Court. The case began. So the case went on for many years. It's a civil case. And finally, in 1993, it was a case much before this. In 1993, the consignment was lying along in the Shipping Corporation of India yard in Calcutta. Shipping Corporation requested the court to remove these fire bricks which are kept in their yard, because Steel Authority of India is not accepting it. So the matter came in front of the High Court as part of the case. Shipping Corporation requested the court to do something with this consignment which is lying in their yard. Steel Authority said, we don't want it. So finally the court ordered, the judge at that time ordered the disposal of this by selling it. So in a kabaddi rate, it should be sold in whatever rate you can get. So the court appointed a receiver, appointed Justice Soumitra Sen, an advocate at that time, on behalf of the court to sell this fire bricks and clear the yard from this consignment which is there. Soumitra Sen went, he invited tender, this, that, everything, he completed a formality. He sold the whole bricks for the fire bricks for 32 lakh rupees at that time in 1993. Now, when the money came, this money was supposed to be, so when the case is going on, the money should be deposited in a bank, and in a fixed deposit it should be there, and the fixed deposit slip should be submitted to the court, and the court will be attaching that slip along with the case diary, it will be attached. That is the normal thing. But instead of attaching that fixed deposit slip with the court, he opened an account, deposited the money, and subsequently he transferred the money into his wife's and mother-in-law's name, and he took out all 32 lakh rupees for his personal use, and he deposited and he played, or he used it in the share market, it seems. So, but the Calcutta High Court did not come to know at that time. Somehow he managed to conceal this matter. The court proceeded, the matter went on for many more years. Subsequently, Justice the Soumitra Sen was elevated as a High Court judge. Even at that time, this 32 lakh rupees were with him only. The Sen retained the money even after being appointed as a High Court judge in 2003. The case was still going on. Finally, in 2003, so 1993, he sold and he got 32 lakh rupees and he kept that money with him. 2003, the Sen was elevated as a High Court judge. Still, he continued to keep the money. In 2006, when finally the case between Shipping Corporation and the Steel Authority of India was about to be concluded, at that time somehow this matter of this money, the issue of this money came, and the judge at that time, a fellow judge, a fellow colleague of Justice Soumitra Sen in another bench, this matter when it took up, they accidentally, or they found that Soumitra Sen was the receiver and no money. I mean, they are not able to find out the money which has been received by him. They could not find it. The court asked Soumitra Sen to reply. Initially, Soumitra Sen tried to avoid, but finally the judge gave a very strict order, and after a High Court order, Soumitra Sen deposited the money back with interest. I mean, High Court asked Soumitra Sen to deposit the money with interest. I think at that time he deposited some 58 lakh rupees back, because after 10 years, with some interest, 8% interest, 9%, whatever it is, whatever be the interest, Supreme Court asked for the interest, High Court asked for the interest, and with interest he returned the money. But when that judge, when he wrote the judgment, he literally accused Soumitra Sen of fraud. In that judgment, the judge very clearly mentioned that Soumitra Sen misappropriated the fund, or he has taken this money which he is not eligible to do and he used it for his personal purpose. That is a pure corruption that is mentioned by the judge at that time. So, meantime, this matter came up in front of the Chief Justice of India. Somebody wrote a letter when this issue happened. An advocates wrote a letter to Chief Justice of India at that time. Chief Justice of India at that time, K.G. Balakrishnan, he asked Justice Soumitra Sen to come and present himself in front of the Chief Justice. He tried to defend him, and the Chief Justice found that whatever allegations are true, and immediately Chief Justice asked him to resign, and Soumitra Sen refused to resign by saying that I did not do anything wrong. Chief Justice of India at that time in 2006 or 7, I forgot, I think in 2007, Chief Justice of India even wrote a letter to the Prime Minister at that time, Dr. Manmohan Singh, to start removal proceedings against Soumitra Sen, because Soumitra Sen's actions are not befitting, or it cannot be condoned, cannot be supported, and he is already a High Court judge. So, the Chief Justice of India requested the Prime Minister and the Parliament to remove him, but no action was taken at that time. But immediately after the P.D. Dinagaran case came, when the Justice Dinagaran's case came in 2009, 58 MPs of Rajya Sabha again signed a motion for the removal of Soumitra Sen in 2009. After many years, after at least 2 years of Chief Justice of India requested and wrote a letter to the Prime Minister at that time. So, 58 MPs signed a letter, initiated a motion to remove Soumitra Sen in Rajya Sabha, and again the Rajya Sabha chairman at that time, or the Vice President of India, Dr. Hamid Ansari, he appointed a 3-member judicial committee headed by a Supreme Court judge at that time, Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy. So he appointed Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy. Justice Sudarshan Reddy was appointed, and a 3-member committee under him, or rather including Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy, including a noted jurist, Fali S. Nariman, was a member of it. The committee looked into the allegation, and committee proved the charges. They submitted the report back and saying that these allegations are true, and the report of the 3-member committee were placed in both the House of the Parliament, and this matter was taken up by Rajya Sabha in August 2011. This matter was taken up by Rajya Sabha in August 2011, and Rajya Sabha passed the motion removing him by voting 189 MPs for removal and 17 MPs against removal. So this 189 out of 243, that 243 members or 245 members in the Rajya Sabha, 245 in the Rajya Sabha. So this 189 is more than 2/3 of the members present and vote, as well as it is more than the absolute majority. So both the criteria are fulfilled. Rajya Sabha passed the resolution. In Rajya Sabha, Justice Soumitra Sen was given a chance to defend himself. He himself came and defended his case, but even then Rajya Sabha moved the resolution, passed the resolution for his removal. So that was in August 18th of August. So Lok Sabha took up the matter to be heard, or rather the Lok Sabha fixed September 5th and 6th, 2011 as the date for Lok Sabha's discussion and passing the resolution. But on 1st of September 2011, Justice Sen resigned. So Justice Sen also resigned on 1st September. So Justice Sen became the first, judge from a High Court judge to be, when not removed, against whom a resolution was passed in at least one House of the Parliament. Matter did not, before the matter was taken up in the Lok Sabha, he resigned. In his case also, since he resigned, the resolution, it is a quiet burial of that resolution. No action is taken against him subsequently. He is also eligible for all pension allowances, etc. So he is still continuing to get the pension allowances, etc. from the Consolidated Fund of India. So that is the third case. And in all the three cases, whether it is Justice Ramasamy, Justice P.D. Dinagaran, and now it is Justice Soumitra Sen, in all the three cases, they continue to enjoy full benefits after either they resigned or after retirement in case of Justice Ramasamy. So this is a grey area in the Constitution. Constitution should be, there should be some changes in the Constitution or in the Judges Enquiry Act to ensure that the judges cannot resign in between. Once the motion begins, it should go and there should be a logical conclusion of that, which is not happening right now. So that is why even after 70 years of our Constitution, not even a single judge is removed. 3 cases came up. There are many more corruption charges like this. One more, one more case I would like to, quote here, which is very interesting. In Punjab and Haryana High Court again, there was a judge called Nirmal Yadav. There was another judge in the same Punjab and Haryana High Court. Both the judge was also Nirmal. She was Nirmal Kaur. Nirmal Yadav and Nirmal Kaur. Now, Nirmal Yadav, just the Punjab and Haryana High Court